Right, we're waiting for just a few minutes for people to arrive, and then we will get started. Yes, I did, Robin. You know, this is good. We need more people here all the time. But oh boy, this one's going to be a fun stream of questionable history. Nope, we're doing one of the historical battles, so just scenarios. There are two Viking historical battles, so we're either going to do York or Vinland Saga, and if no one else shows up, you'll get a pick. Oh, that was just... Unfortunately, the audio does not continue when I tap out, so when I tapped out to check Discord, see if anyone else was coming in, and then that silenced the music, and I didn't realize. Anyway, we are going to get started. And so yeah, this is Little History. And for a show about history and playing the Middle Ages, we're finally going to do a game that is actually historical, or claims to be historical. So we have Age of Empires 2, kind of the classic RTS. It got remastered last year. And so we've got plenty of material to play in here. In this stream, we're going to be doing one of the historical battles, specifically one of the two Viking-themed ones, because that is what I have a degree in, and I'm comfortable talking about without doing even more research. So we've got two options here. We can do either Vinland Saga or York. So Vinland Saga. Adventurous sailors tell of distant, fertile lands to the west. Only the most dauntless seafarer could cope with the dangers of such a journey. Sail with Eric the Red and take on the challenge. A new world awaits you. Or York. The English thought that the Viking raids would die with Ragnar Lothbrok. Fools. Under the Ragnarsons, the Viking longships continue to sail for England. They now come not as mere raiders, but conquerors. Unleash the wrath of the great heathen army upon the British Isles. In both scenarios, we will play as the Vikings. So, the two of you who are watching right now, which one do you want me to do? I've prepared for both of them. I've got research materials ready to talk about either of these in some depth. You can see I've played the Vinland Saga one. I have not played the York one. So if you want to see me be bad playing blind, we'll recommend that one. Otherwise, we can do Vinland Saga. Okay, I've got one vote for York. And to our other two viewers, do either of you want to chime in here? York? Nice. Alright, thank you. Then we are going to do York and talk about the Great Heathen Army. This is the one I was hoping to talk about anyway, because I've talked about Ragnar Lothbrok quite a bit, and we've got way more sources for York than we do for Vinland Saga.
Shouts of assent ring around the hall as the sons of Ragnar finish speaking, and ravens fly upwards, eager to bring good tidings to the Aesir. Moments later, the sky flashes with lightning and booms with thunder, signaling the approval of the gods. Days later, the mustering begins. Kings, jarls, warriors, and common folk alike gather, eager to seek vengeance on the Northumbrian King Ilar for the dishonorable slaying of Ragnar. Ivarr, one of Ragnar's sons, has sworn to carve the blood eagle on Ilar in retribution. It is a sight to behold. Hundreds of longships bear crews of valiant Norsemen and enough supplies to last the army months. The Valkyries look on, for they will soon swell Odin's hall with brave warriors who fall in the coming battles. Ragnar's sons approach a small band of warriors with a dangerous but important quest: to scout the British Isles and establish a camp. When the army arrives, it will need a secure base from which to strike out against the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms that dominate the British mainland. Thor is pleased, for the seas are benign and the winds favorable, allowing the longships a serene passage across the North Sea. As they near York, the seat of Northumbria, the sound of the sea mingles with the grinding of axes. Skalds eagerly prepare to craft the verses for a saga that will be passed down until the end of time.
Okay, before we get truly it's not going to let me back up. That's annoying. So there's a lot in that one already that we can talk about. So to kind of introduce the time period and the sources we have for that, we have sources on both the Norse side and the English side for the events we're about to be playing through. The English side is recorded in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle and several other chronicles throughout the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries. The one I've got here is the Annal of Roger of Hoveden. I've got a translation of it on hand, and so that's going to be my main reference point. It cites the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle explicitly, but in some details it differs from other ones. Roger of Hoveden lived in the late 12th and early 13th century, so he's quite far removed from these events. But he's good enough to get a rough picture of the context of what's going on. On the Norse side, we have two sagas, and the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok and the Thautur of Ragnarsson. We also have Saxo Grammaticus' account of Ragnar in the Gesta Danorum. So this is quite well attested. Obviously, all of our Norse sources come from the 12th and 13th and 14th centuries. The only source that possibly dates earlier that deals with these events is the poem Ragnar's Draupa, which was supposedly spoken by Ragnar Lothbrok when he was thrown by Ella of Northumbria into a pit full of snakes. Now, as Robin mentioned, it's correct, Ragnar Lothbrok. I'm thoroughly convinced that he was not a historical figure, that he never existed. There is still some argument about that, people keep trying to prove it, but I'm of the opinion that he's completely made up in the end. However, his sons, especially Ivarr, are well attested in the historical record. We'll get to them in a little while. Something interesting in that opening discussion or cinematic that they played is that they said that they need to scout out and get a base, and so you are scouting near York. This is in sharp contrast to all of the things, like literally all of the sources. Roger of Hobbiton states that, let me find it, 860, yeah. In that the first winter that the pagans stayed all year round was looks like 850, looks like it's 852 that the pagans stayed all year round, and 855 there was a great army of pagans that passed the whole of the winter on the Isle of Sheppey, so the Island of Sheep. And so yeah, they in 864, this is still prior to the events of this game, or this scenario, but they wintered on the island of Tened and near Kent and made a firm treaty with the people of Kent, and then they betrayed that completely. In 867, not 865, the army moved from East Anglia to York. So they were already in England, and in fact, the author of Ragnarssona states that Ivarr the Boneless was the founder of the city of York, and this is historically largely attested. The legendary founder of the city has the Irish Chronicles list the founder of the city as the cognate to Ivarr. So, I think it still is called Ivarr. I don't remember that for 100%. I don't know Old Irish. So yeah, we've got here our first thing in the scenario though. We need to cast out the territory, deal with all the fog of war. So 5 campsites: Scotland, Isle of Man, and Ireland. Specifically, probably near Cork. Build up our defenses, and then off we go. And yeah, we're going to be raiding a bunch of monasteries. So yeah, this one we're already breaking the history, but that's okay. Now, this game needs to deal with a very limited set of mechanics in order to do a lot of historical times. Okay, so we're trying to sack York. Again, this is actually exactly backwards of the historical record. York was... the Northumbrians attacked York in the historical record, and then that's why Ella died. So, Mercia is the center of the map. Okay. So, East Anglia is going to be pretty vulnerable. And Wessex is the most dangerous one. Awesome. Okay. Let's get started, see how badly I do.
There lies our target, the fortified city of York. We must find a safe location to land, and wait for the rest of our mighty brethren to arrive, before we seek Valhalla together.
My lord, we have scouted the British Isles. Far-seeing Odin has showed us several sites where we can strike our tents.
Let us make haste and disembark. Our presence must go unnoticed, for now.
Okay. So we are going around here, just marking these guys. We'll keep these ships near each other. Yeah, in this game, the Viking longship is very much kind of like an oppressively good military force as a navy, and this is one that's actually true to the historical record. There were basically no navies that stood much of a chance against disembark. There were virtually no navies that stood a chance against the Norse troops. There's really, the longship is absolutely oppressively good in that situation. Now, we're gonna tell these guys to patrol. I'm just gonna patrol down this way. Just gonna keep an eye on our units, and let's take a look at who else we've got. We've got throwing axemen, which are actually a it's mostly due to the quality of the ships. Especially Francia does not really care or have any interest in the
Skull, our camp is complete. Quickly, muster a force. Soon the sails of our brothers will draw near, and we will wet our axes with Saxon blood.
Okay. So we are already having these guys come out. I noticed I'm having some frame rate issues, so hopefully those fix themselves soon. And we need houses. Okay, that's annoying. So we're just gonna build houses here instead of worrying about these resources too much. But yeah, part of that is with the just raw quality of the ships. Viking longships were very fast, relatively speaking, and very efficient as ways at getting into areas that the Norse, that their opponents really just couldn't. With the shallow draft, Viking ships were actually able to sail all the way up the River Seine and besiege Paris in the year 886. So they were extremely effective to get to places that their opponents just largely couldn't. Okay. So now we start accumulating things, and one more house should be enough for the time. And what else can we build? Let's build a barracks. Oops. And yeah, the only exception to what I just said with the being able to deal with resources, the Viking longships, is Alfred the Great, who built a fleet to deal with that problem, because it was a very big problem, and wound up building ships that were, according to pretty much every English source, twice as big and possibly of higher draft, which means that in a straight fight, Alfred the Great in the 880s and 890s started consistently dominating the Icelandic or the Norwegian and Danish forces, who were meant to be competing with them, or that he was meant to be assailing. It was highly effective, and it wound up, Alfred the Great wound up completely ending the Great Heathen Army. Like, it was thanks to his brother and his efforts that the events of this scenario end the way that they do in the historical record. Which is with the Vikings leaving England and going and beating up France for a while. Then they come back, but then they get slowly just forced back farther and farther. So we've got an idle villager somewhere. There we go. I'll build the scout cavalry, even though in this period cavalry is really not used. Oh, I lost that fight. That's awkward. No, I didn't. There we are. I found us. I almost lost that fight. No, so we've got 8 minutes left until the army arrives, so I just want to get as much exploration done as we can, and then we're going to have plenty of units. If we can get up into the Castle Age, that would be helpful for these purposes, and this ship's definitely not going to survive. Yep. Yeah, we're just going to go way the hell out here, click back up here, and our scout cavalry is going to explore inland. Let's see, what else can we be doing? Probably need some more houses. Nope, we're actually fine on population, so that's no big deal. And yeah, is the frame rate looking okay for you guys? It's looking quite bad for me, to be honest. So I may turn down the graphics settings, see if we can't ease up the oomph on my computer a little bit. Let's actually do that. Options, graphics presets low, confirm. That should help. I'm sorry that this game will not look as pretty, but I do need to be able to react to things with frame rate. Cool. So we found more of Northumbria. And a ruined town out here. Cool. Wonder what's out here. Or why this is out here. And did this guy die? No, he made it. Congratulations. He has 20 HP. He's not going to live for very long. So we're just going to send him out along the coast and take a look at what we've got available. So, let's talk about this Age of Empires approach to history. You'll notice if I go over to my map here, we've got this little corner here, or also up here. That is the age tracker, because Age of Empires divides history into 4 discrete periods that definitely are widely applicable. They're not widely applicable. This really struggles. Well, he's dead. That's a lot of Mercians. Or no, these are the Welsh. Okay. We're currently running through the Welsh, pretending. Nope. Congratulations, we found the Welsh. We should build up an army and deal with them. And how are we doing on other resources? Pretty good, actually. Let's build a mill. Yeah, scout cavalry aren't meant to survive, right? Well, I found the Picts, not the... I think I'm actually supposed to be in Scotland right now. I don't know enough of the map. Oh yeah, that is Scotland, because this is the Isle of Man here. So that's the coast of Scotland. Wales is down here. Yay. Let's see. Well, what else? We have 2 minutes left until the main army arrives, so let's just send this guy along the coast farther. And Wessex, interesting. So Wessex here already controls Kent, despite that not being historical at this point in time. Well, it's half historical. Alfred the Great's father got tribute to Surrey, Wessex, and Kent, which means that he was quite controlled basically all of southern England. However, he actually got into trouble because when he died, he split that up between his sons. And so that means that the kingdom actually split in two for a while, because Alfred was actually too young to inherit the throne at that point. So the inheritance was split evenly between Alfred's two sons, Alfred's two older brothers, but one of them died only 2 years into the line. Okay, that's a lot of longships. Holy crap, that's a lot of longships. Hopefully that doesn't crash my game, because... yeah. Have longships, will travel. So we're just going to basically burn down the entire coast. That's fine. I wish we had, you know, any sort of resources elsewhere. But yeah, they're just going to stay here for a moment, because this is not good. Okay, so we need to basically do one of those to finish this. So we need to either obliterate York, which involves advancing to the Imperial Age, and then building a wonder there on the ruins of the castle there. Or we can just get money otherwise. We're going to see how well we do. This might take me a while, but we can basically just kind of go on our own right now. So, we need to build a lot more houses. So we're going to take people off of gold production, and then build more houses. I think our first step here is to take out some of these weaker players by assembling a bunch of man-arms alongside our berserkers and throwing axemen. Yep, so we just got 3 people up to the Castle Age, which means we are falling behind. What are we missing? We're missing food. That makes sense. We have idle villagers. Why do we have idle villagers? And yeah, Northumbria is now in the Imperial Age. Notice, we have the Imperial Age here, though this is gunpowder, still means that they are making things like paladins and two-handed swordsmen and a whole bunch of things that are very much not historical. So we're building basically our own city here, along the coast. In the meantime though, we need to do something with this whole huge team of warships. So we're going to move down here. And merge the entire situation. I expect we actually may end up losing this, but that's okay. Hello? Attack the thing that can kill you first, please. That being said, this is not really going to be a problem. Yo. Okay, Northumbria's gonna try and burn us, but that's no problem. We need still more houses, because we have so many ships that we're actually in some trouble. Wait, where? Okay, we're going to just kind of raid along Northumbria here. Well, we have another group. We'll set these to be Hockey 1. We'll set these guys to be Hockey 2. So number 1 is gonna... Well, we don't want to really deal with York too badly, but Hockey 1 might go down here and try and raid in East Anglia. Meanwhile, Hockey 2 is looking pretty good at just murdering everyone here. Meanwhile, we need to get our land forces still built. Age of Empires is having me do a lot of things right now. I still have too many people. So, what they're having us do here is actually pretty ahistorical, because they would not be actually intending these to... Why are they not attacking the church? Ah, they are. Nope. There we go. Now they're going to burn down the church. These guys are going to do their own thing. They're set to aggressive, so we're just going to let them... Once they come in here, I'm just going to let them burn for a while, because we don't need them to do otherwise. That being said, let's not... Oh gosh, I just screwed everything up on screen, I'm sorry. Let me just double check, make sure that looks okay. Yep. Okay. Oh, we got a bunch of gold for no reason. I like that. Yep. We did not miss a whole lot important. We are doing the York historical battle in Age of Empires 2 and attempting to... Ah, that's why. I got gold in tribute because I burned down the monastery. Okay, I did that again. I'm sorry, I'm in windowed mode, so sometimes I end up... Interesting, the monks converted one of my own ships against me. Congratulations, monks, you did good. Okay, we still have lots of idle villagers who need to be making more food, because I need always more food. Nah. And then we have a need for more houses. These guys cannot be attacking the castle, they are losing. So we actually need them to run away, because we can't take out East Anglia's castle. Yep, we're just gonna have a control move which lets them attack whoever. Which means we are killing a whole bunch of innocent monks. Meanwhile, these guys have done great at... But we're going to burn down the market to shut off the trade to the Picts. And we are finally below capacity, which means we can build more units. And we can get up to the... Nope, not yet. We need one more feudal age building to get up into the castle age, which means we're going to build one more villager to build an archery range and then get going. Okay, we got more gold in tribute. Which is great for us. We've accumulated quite a lot of gold very quickly, just off the force of our boats. But these guys need to get on their way, and I think we actually need them to head up north to join with these guys. Same with this group. We're going to reunite our entire fleet of ships. Words are hard. And then we are going to go raid along the other side of the coast, try and found the Kingdom of Dublin. because obviously we've got a lot of spaces around here. Cool, so this ship got sank too, no big deal. Anyway, I was going to say something clever about the all of the different ages in Age of Empires. Age of Empires divides the medieval period into 4 different ages. These are the Dark Ages, the Feudal Ages, the Castle Age, and the Imperial Age. This is a whole bunch of very odd things to do. I'm not a fan of this division into ages, because personally it assumes that the Middle Ages is fairly homogeneous across the understanding, across Europe, across the period. It's not. Doing that makes very little sense. So, let's see. We built enough things, we're gonna start getting into the Castle Age. Blacksmith can't do anything right now, that's okay. Let's see what else. Archery range, let's build a bunch of archers, since we finally have the resources to do that. We'll set our archers to be their own entity, and then our ships are going to sail around the coast and see if we can't murder Scotland a little bit more. No, we were on the very north coast of Scotland already. Okay. Good, we've got a conveniently located dock, so we're going to tell them to raise these to the ground. Viking longships absolutely decimate the local ship-to-ship units, which is good for us. Means we can kind of just harry around all across the north coast with no trouble. That being said, we take a look at these guys and how they're doing. They've got a whole bunch of pikemen. That's okay, we're not going to use infantry against them. So, we're just going to burn all the things we can from the coast, while this tiny little army here is going to head out this way. And we're going to have these guys, build some... I'm actually going to have them build a castle out here to defend us. We have the stone. It's no trouble. Okay, they completely obliterated that one already. That's fine. Shaft mining. Research. Don't have the resources for that. We are completely out of food, so we're going to build more farms.
Buin! Hvor alltid lagi! Dra de da! Ja, vil jeg. Buin! Hvor? Buin! Ja. Hvor?
Okay, so there's that whole army coming in. We're going to be fine, because these are mostly pikemen. Pikemen don't really care. That being said, I need them to kind of back off. Okay, so that went well. Now while our entire force got decimated, that's fine. Our ship army is doing just fine. So, I can kind of see there's kind of an intended strategy coming in here that I did not pay attention to at all. She's to say, these guys. I meant to go in. Well, I did great. However, we have a castle now. We're fine. The nice thing of this castle is they can literally can garrison these guys in it, though I won't do that. I'll actually garrison them in a watchtower out here. And we're gonna try again. So that didn't go so well, shockingly. And yeah, that's okay. We don't need more houses for the time being, so we are going to make another farm. Everyone's farmers now. Which, to be fair, that's one of the more historically accurate parts of this whole thing. Cool, so these guys kind of murked everything in the area. They're going to attack along the coast here. Meanwhile, I should have built one more villager here to get a coast. And yeah. Okay. Interesting. Nah. Why is the... Hey. Why is the villager in that? Villager... Nay. That's not right. The villager is going to, I guess, mine some gold. Because that's the normal way to get resources. And yeah, we're going to build a dock here so we can get more longships. And then, yeah, you can kind of see the intended way to go about this is clearly meant to be that your longships burn down the whole area. And then they drop in some infantry units to kind of finish up the job. We're not doing that. Not quite. But what we are doing here is weirdly getting a bunch of our unique units who are berserks, which are self-healing, which is great for us, but not super necessary. And let's see, we still are extremely low on food, so we should build a market soon. But still, we did that, so having earned these resources, we're going to continue sailing around the coast here. And try and use our longships to at least discover more land, to raid in, if not actually defend our units. Where do we get attacked from? Oh, those are fire ships. That's no good. Well, we don't have any way to deal with that. That's a lot of fire ships. We're going to build several demolition rafts and use that to wipe out these enemy ships. Interesting. Why are these guys sailing? They just kind of stopped there. Odd. Kaboom. Okay, who are we getting attacked by? Okay, Wessex is trying to already attack us, which is no good, but also not really the end of the world. Because Wessex is not that scary. So, we're up here on the northern coast of Scotland. There's not really a whole lot up here, it looks like. There's no reason for me to explore this part of the map. Question mark? A lot of wood, looks like there's no human habitation. Somewhere, completeness sake is nice, though amusingly, this means that the empty part of the map is the part that was actually settled by Norse people. Specifically the Orkney Islands. Oh hey, I completely failed to actually execute that correctly. Whoops. One more demolition raft. And we're just gonna set them up over here. Someone's shooting at us. Weird. So yeah, the Orkney Islands, way up on the north coast here, are completely uninhabited in this map. They are, however, the only part of the, or not the only, but one of. Cool, that worked. One more of those should do the trick. I'm not super worried. No one here is very scary. Okay, regardless though, we should upgrade the crossbowmen, completely a historical concept at this point in time. And the demolition raft should, with some luck, kill both of these guys. No big deal. Unlucky. Okay, we still do not have the... Oh yes, we do have the ability to build longbows. Good. We're going to build a couple more of those and station them in the area. In the meantime, we're going to go raiding on the other coast of this very small strand of the Irish Sea. Let's see how well that goes for us. Anyway, I still didn't get around to talking about the ages. The kind of the core principle of the game. Brilliant, man. I'm good at this. So, the main conceit is that you progress through these different time periods, and that upgrades your technology, what you're able to research, and there are certain things that are appropriate for certain times, and certain things that are completely inappropriate for certain times. And so if you're in the Dark Ages, you cannot build fancy units, you cannot build castles. However, once you magically hit that button that takes you in, you get the ability to build these big fancy stone castles and all sorts of specialized units as a result. This is obviously not how the historical period worked. So Wessex is still scary. Let's be honest, Wessex is very scary. But our berserks are more than capable of handling it, especially if we can get a university. We have idle villagers, so let's build a university with them. Oh, amusing. They let you build a monastery. I am very amused by that idea, because kind of the whole point... Oh gosh, those are... Well, our transport ship's screwed. That's fine. Okay, we are already starting to get in trouble, but that's fine. We're not going to even pay attention to that. Kind of back off, let those warships do what they want, and we're going to keep raiding elsewhere. So we got the university created, that's great. Let's see if we can get murder holes. We can. Why do I have... Okay, if we got crossbowmen there. We're going to station these crossbowmen here and stand round and have them just kind of do their thing. So we've got a more fortified city coming up here. But coming in from the sea, we're able to absolutely mark these guys without too much hassle. Let's see, they really don't pose much of a threat to us. We just need to stay out of sight of their castle, and we will be fine. So that now we're raiding in Wales, and yeah, they're gonna do their thing. These guys are gonna do their thing. Stay defensive. And now we tap back over to our ships. And as you can see, kind of the effectiveness of this strat is that we're just going in and completely slaughtering anything in the vicinity of the coasts. It's just going very slowly, because ships alone do not win this game. This is actually a problem I have with trying to do Vikings in this, is that so much of this is ship-based. It only functions if you have ships, and so you're meant to kind of sail around the coast and drop off your guys, mark a castle, and then move on. This isn't a super sensible way of, mechanically intuitive way, I should say, of playing this game. Because this game is not very good at large-scale combat for all the things it's supposed to be good at. It's actually quite bad at large-scale combat, in my opinion. So there's very little benefit to having significantly sized armies coming in. Oh nice, and they've got a Wessex, there we go, an elite Huscarl. So you can see Wessex is already actually becoming very scary. And our ships are getting pretty well trashed. We don't have that many of them left. Well, that's fine, because we're taking out everything along the coasts, so that our units can more easily clean up when it matters. That being said, I think it's time we attack them again, because, you know, it's boring to sit all day and do nothing. That being said, without a siege engine workshop, we actually might be in some trouble in trying to take on most of this team. So, let's see. Nay. Just everyone but... Okay. Well, speaking of which, then let's build a siege engine workshop. Because we can do that now. Siege engines. So this is mostly looking at battering rams for us, because battering rams will do a lot of pain to the coasts. And you'll notice we actually got our only dock destroyed, so we are currently a completely terrestrial group of Vikings. Good. However, this is actually also not the inaccurate thing it sounds. To everyone's surprise. It is very much not the case that the Great Viking Army, or Great Heathen Army, depending on how you want to call it, was this constantly seafaring group. They actually spent most of their time on land. By quite a bit. Okay, my berserkers need to stop, because they are currently being awful at the whole, avoiding attacking the entire... Well, look at how many villagers they've got. Here we go. Who's why is Wessex attacking us? Jesus. Okay. Oh, I've got one ship attacking 7. Okay. Genius. Well, we got flanked hard. Luckily, longships are pretty good at dealing with this. And yeah, we're just slowly winding down. You can see this attack went a lot better. Though, the fact that they are still... This is really one of the cases I see. You can tell how dated this AI is. Because they will not attack people. They will actually prefer to attack buildings to the point of very stupidity. Very great stupidity. Okay, the Northern Irish are attacking us again. And yeah, our ships are in trouble. This is the end of our fleet of warships, basically. I think I'm actually going to have them come back. They've done their damage. We're slowly taking land away, though. And yeah, I mean, you can see how quickly this goes badly with how many units there are. But we burned down the town center very quickly, and our berserkers are around to clean up. Cool, we got 2,000 gold for our efforts there, which is great. And yeah, anyway, I was saying something about being landlocked being not as historically inaccurate as you would like it to be. Okay, seriously? Cool. 2? Nah. A whole bunch of reinforcements just came in. Kinda sucks, but it's not that big a deal. Cool. Jesus. Frame rates are hard. Anyway, the English sources for the Great Heathen Army indicate that, for the most part, these guys were traveling around by foot, or horseback, but they were not primarily. Well, they continue to all be bad at the whole concept of attacking the enemies. Regardless, we're getting a lot of gold in tribute, which is great news for us, but we need to have this group back off instead of getting melted by Wessex again. Well, maybe we're okay. Oh yeah, I should research ballistics. Ballistics will help me a whole lot here. There we go. And let's get more units up, because I am falling behind. As you can tell, I'm actually not very good at RTSs. They are very much not in my interest zone as far as games go, but I enjoy them well enough. We're going to do our best. we've got stables here. We can build knights. Let's build some knights. Knights are obviously completely anachronistic to the 9th century. 865, 860 to 870, we're not really going to be seeing any knights around. But that's okay. Ballistics research is done. Well. The big advantage of knights here, though, is heavy cavalry is just pretty good. But yeah, anyway, travel in this time period, well, certainly it's hard to deny that they were it's very hard to deny that it's important that they had ships and that they were able to get around quite far because of their ships. However, ships were not the be-all and end-all of their efforts. It's pretty clear that these part of the reason that the Great Heathen Army was able to stay in England for so long is that they had horses and that they would ride around the country in otherwise pretty normal ways. There we go, ballistics helped me so much with just sniping out any of our potential villager enemies. We have here just some palisades, that's fine. That skirmisher is kind of bad for us, but not too important. Let's get the rest of our forces over here. Where's our battering rams? Oh, our battering ram died. Okay. Do we have more battering rams coming in? No, there's our battering ram. Okay. Let's go. So there's that troop line moving, and here are these guys moving. They're all gonna come down here too. So yeah, they would mostly go riding around, and part of the reason that they were as successful as they were... Ooh, that's no good. Is that they had horses and they just rode around the country as normal while waiting for more units to come in. So yeah, not really a case where they had a whole lot of problems. There we go. Hello? What are my units doing? Like, holy sh... Finally. So... the pathfinding in this game is so bad. Holy moly. That's alright. We finally have more wood. Great news for us. But we need to get any of our survivors. I think at this point our surviving ships are going to head home and they're going to patrol in the area to make sure that Wessex can't do what Wessex is doing right now, which is generously disrupting all of my plans. Anyway, there's lots more to talk about with the Great Heathen Army. Something I guess that's interesting to mention is that for the largest part, the Great Heathen Army is, well, it is historically attested. It actually does something very strange, which is they're running around for, really, again with these guys able to just exist in my space with no problem. That's not okay. We need to burn this whole thing down. Hello? There we go. Okay, so that town got razed, which is good for us, bad for them, but trying for them's a bit of a pitfall. Anyway, the Norse sources state that the Great Heathen Army is revenge for the death of Ragnar Lothbrok. The English sources don't state at all what that justification is, but they are one of the few attestations of the so-called Blood Eagle as a means of sacrifice. Really? Okay. All these berserks. Well, what is that? Oh, that's just a tree. Okay. Anyway. The Blood Eagle is a thing that appears in a few places in the Norse corpus. Always as a form of execution, but it's very unclear what that term actually means. The clearest indication is in both Ragnar Saga and in Heimskringla, where there is this statement that they had, or no, just in Heimskringla actually, where it's stated that it was carved in such a way that the ribs were cut open at the spine, and the rest of it and the lungs were drawn out to look like wings. As far as historically attested things go, this is pretty thoroughly unattested. All the other sources, with no exceptions, state that that is just carved the shape of an eagle into someone's back. So this may be a fairly superficial design. It may also not be. There's plenty of evidence to go either way. So it's hard to say for sure. However, what does seem fairly clear is that this is some kind of execution. Potentially religious, though that is completely... the evidence for that is extremely thin. Actually, just the other day I went to a talk 2 days ago, I went to a talk on this exact subject, and they actually had a whole bunch of medical scholars and anatomists take a look at it, and they said they could not disprove it. All the things they said are technically possible, just not exactly likely. This method of execution would be extremely difficult and extremely painful, and the survival rate would be, well, for most of the procedure you would be performing it on a corpse. So when it says that Ella of Normandy was killed with a blood eagle, that is hard to show what it is. Because to do that, you basically have to strip off the skin and muscle on the back, shatter each rib individually, pull those open, and then the lungs will collapse, and then you pull out these little sad-looking things. Not ideal. Certainly not as dramatic as, like, the Vikings TV show, which covers the events that this scenario does. Not nearly as dramatic as that makes it out to be. It certainly is not impossible, though. They could not definitively say that it could not happen, which is neat. Anyway, with all of these things coming in, we should easily be able to mark this gate and then finish off the Picts in this part of the country. How are these guys doing? How is the gate doing? The gate is almost gone. Okay, we need to attack the castle first. And then these guys come in as well. So, here we go. Incoming sea of Vikings. So yeah, this Blood Eagle is definitely weird. I make no pretense to knowing whether or not it is historical, what exactly is going on with that. It's incredibly graphic, incredibly violent. My personal opinion is that did not happen, but we have really insufficient evidence to say that either way. And yeah, we have absolutely slaughtered this. Let's see, what else was I going to say? I still don't think I've actually talked about the ages, and all the problems that this set of ages indicates. These ages, as they are described, just end up being pretty highly colonialist and very Eurocentric and to a highly problematic extent. Who's attacking me? I can hear someone. Oh, there's... I built that monastery, didn't I? Did I actually build the monastery yet? Where is it? Nope, I did not build a monastery yet. One monastery. So we're gonna grab that relic from the Isle of Man and do its thing. Okay. We need to get the hell out of here, because I'm not dealing with Wessex fire ships. Oh boy. This is going just great. Yeah. So, we have a monastery now. This design is super weird. Like, this is not what a monastery would look like in any way, shape, or form. But that's okay. We built a monk. No, what? What? Wow. I am moving so slowly. Anyway, I still have not talked about these ages in a way that makes any sense whatsoever. So let's do that. The 4 ages, the first one is the Dark Age. We didn't start in it, thankfully, but the ways in which that is problematic should not really be of much surprise. Namely, the whole concept of a Dark Age in the early medieval period is generally accepted to be debunked at this point. Like, it's not a thing. And yeah. Pretending that it somehow is a thing is actually really damaging to the study of the early medieval period and to generally wider scholarship, because it's based on basically the greatest piece of Renaissance propaganda that was ever made. Namely, the claim that the Renaissance is this reaction to, instead of an evolution of, the Middle Ages. It very much is an evolution, and an evolution that is highly continuous at that. So, the narrative that there is a Dark Age, and that this Dark Age is like the beginning when you can do very little and doesn't have anything, it just makes no sense. Even on the face of it, it makes very little sense that... Oh, I wonder if that monk has gotten that yet. Is there monk fights? Nah. That unit cannot be converted. No big deal. So we're gonna drop that in the monastery, hopefully not get sniped along the way. I think we've done enough damage here, so let's get on out. No, cool. We are getting there on the gold. We've got about 1/3 of the resources we're looking for, and we've turned this into a bunch of ash. That being said, let's take advantage of this and take our idle villager and have them build watchtowers in some of the places we had obliterated. It'll be good. The second age is the feudal age, which this is no less problematic than the first one. Statement of there being a cool, this place is still uninhabited. I like that. So we are going to murder that, and we're going to send some of these guys to deal with this, and to deal with all of the villagers around that. Cool. We're doing good. We're slowly getting there. I'm going to build a bunch of crossbowmen, because crossbowmen with thumb rings are very scary. And we got our first relic. Yeah. The feudal age, anyway, is not less problematic than the conception of there being a consistent, a remotely consistent Dark Age. The reason it is no less problematic is that the idea of feudalism as a concept, while in the very local level that is attested in like the person gives swears oath of fealty to his lord, and then off they go. That is attested. The rest of the concept, and certainly the idea that there is some sort of organized system associated with it, is utterly unattested. It is not fair to say that there is a consistent and at all consistent medieval or feudal system across medieval Europe. There are things with similarities across basically the entire period and the entire conception of it, but the framework of feudalism was developed with reference mostly to Normandy, and it works best for Normandy and tends to not work in other places. So if you're hearing them talking about feudalism at large, know that that is, well, it's something that technically exists, it's definitely not something that can be consistently... Okay, I just lost this person. She just converted to Christianity. Mistakes were made. I hate when they do that. Anyway, we're able to keep going, make more knights, and get started again with more. Let's do more research while we have the chance. We can upgrade these to guard towers. Upgrade that. We don't need to make monks, because monks are for Christians, which we are not. Anyway, we are slowly getting there. Let's also make another villager. And take a look at proceeding down and checking out this ruin built area. Actually, let's have one of our knights do that. While we're waiting, we can have one of our knights go exploring. As you can see, there's another relic right here, which means we should be able to pick it up pretty quick if we're with some help. We should be able to actually sack this place without too much hassle. Though Northumbria is going to continue to be a problem. How's our coastal units doing? Do we have anyone on the coast still? We have like five longships left. Cool. Why are these guys suddenly all done? Weird. Whatever. Can we not build a dockhouse here? What? Okay. That was weird. And yeah, I guess these three can all go build. Build one down here. So we're gonna have 3 people go instead of having 1 go, and we're gonna build a bunch more longships. Because there's not a whole lot of anything that's better than longships for us right now. We built 9 of them. They reinforce. This whole squad is going to be able to help us take this corner of Northumbria. Anyway, so feudalism is just as fake as anything else we've talked about. So congratulations there. But we move on, and the third age is the Castle Age, and that's where the game kind of picks up. I think that's where the game gets good, or better. When you start being able to build these castles. Now this particular castle design is late 13th century, or yeah, I'd say probably late 13th century, which is not an inherently bad thing. It's just stone castles like this were not built in that way. Hello? Are they not building the thing? Okay. And yeah, we have all... And then the fourth one is the Imperial Age. So, this is another one that just gets really problematic. There's just no other way to describe it. It's just really problematic. Wait, what are these guys doing? Yeah, the reason why it's such a problematic thing is, of course, empire is not a coherent concept through much of the Middle Ages. There is the Holy Roman Empire, which is very much a real thing, but it is only sometimes an empire. And so, and when it says empire, with modern reference, that brings to mind images of, well, specifically the British Empire and 19th century colonialism. While this reference is understandable, it is definitely a powerful historical reference. Oops, I'm going to lose all of these guys, I think. Whatever, they should be able to... Wow. That villager is extremely resistant to the lures of... to the allure of Christianity. Well, that's a mistake on his part.
Ja.
Cool. I'm actually going to let them sit there for a little while because they're just going to walk too close to... walk much too close to... yeah. I'm going to let them sit there because they're just going to take out villagers for free. Which is great news for me. These guys, Team 1 here, I think we're ready to take on the next relic. We've got 4. We still have 4 of these, so these guys are going to be their own entity. And then everyone else here, well, no, all these crossbowmen are their own thing. And then all of our knights and berserk. Wow. Whoops. I want just the knights and just the berserkers are also their own entity. So, we send Team 3 here, down this way. Team 1 also goes down this way, and... Okay, we're going to take on Northumbria. This is probably going to go poorly, but we're going to manage it anyway. So yeah, we're at 10% of... And these guys are going to attack the gate. Okay, these guys do poorly against castles, so we're going to have them not go against castles. Oh, I just changed the window spacing again, so sorry about that. But actually we're going to have these guys go around to the other side. I think having them go around to the other side, where there's not a guard tower, is going to be the superior choice. No. Team 5 heads out this way. And we slowly chip away at this gate. And Team 3 also moves over here. Nej. Så här. Cool. So this is going great again. So we're going to immediately attack the castle. All the guard towers are not really a threat. Nay! Why do they not attack the castle when I tell them to attack the castle? The AI in this game annoys me. Okay, so they do have murder holes on this, which means that this is going to end in failure. That's okay. We can build more. You gotta understand that. We're just gonna shoot villagers as cool. Yo. Okay, so that fight went poorly, but this is also perfectly historically attested. Well, that may sound like a weird thing to say. It's accurate. Quite frankly, they are really... The evidence from things like the annals of Roger of Hoveden and obviously the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle and other such sources indicate that the Vikings lost a lot. They were pretty evenly matched with most of the forces, though the account of the attack on York that this is supposed to be the beginning of is, I think, particularly interesting. According to Roger of Hoveden, the Ella of Northumbria was actually an illegitimate claimant to the throne. He ousted the rightful king of Northumbria slightly beforehand, Osbert. But Osbert and Ella wound up teaming up to attack York, which was a Viking city. This, they were originally very successful and actually tore down most of the fortifications, which were earth and not stone, around York. However, then they pushed too far into the city, and Yngvar and Hubba wound up going in and helped keep them alive. There's my monk, grabs that, and drops that off in here. So we got 2 of the relics. Oh, there's a 3rd relic in here. Okay, good to know. We should probably build another monk. Okay, and so Roger Hubbard, all he says is that's where Ella met, or that's where Ella and Osbert both met their ends. Roger mentions nothing of a blood eagle, only the Norse sources do something like that. However, then Yngvar and Hubba proceed to go around and shortly thereafter take on and end up killing Saint Edmund of East Anglia. This is a very famous killing, to be honest. Let's get more villagers. Villagers, where are you? Why, Wessex? Why do you do this to me? Okay, so they build up this huge big situation. Amazing. Why are we getting attacked by Northumbria? Oh boy. Well, there went my monk. This is why we got another monk. I don't have the stone for a castle. Why do I have 0 stone? I'm shocked by that. We're going to spend some oomph at the market here to pick up more... Where's our market? I have a well laid out town, I promise. We're buying stone. And then selling some wood. So, we can use this to put up a castle here in the city, or probably just outside the city walls. And group 3 runs all the way over here. Okay. So these landlocked so yeah, they kill Saint Edmund of East Anglia in, I believe it's 870? Let's find out. I can check that, because I have the book right here. Yeah. In the year 870, many thousands of Danes collected together under the command of Yngvar and Hubba, and coming to East Anglia went to their Teafort. At this time, King Edmund was ruler over all the realms of East Anglia, a man holy and just in all things, and in the same year, he, with his people, fought valiantly against the above-mentioned army, but inasmuch as God had predetermined to crown him with martyrdom, he there met with a glorious death. The Saint's Life of Edmund gives a little bit more information about this situation.
Ja?
What?
Altilagi! Ruin! Ja! Altilagi!
Well, I'm just gonna lose the thing there, because for some reason... Okay, nope, we got it. We're good. They're gonna repair that, hopefully. Yes, they repair these. And yeah, the Saint's Life of Edmund gives a little bit more information about what is going on, and what we kind of end up expecting them to deal with. Oh, let's see if we can get up to the Imperial Age yet. We can. That helps us out. So, the Saint's Life of Edmund states that Edmund, when he went out to meet them, was captured because they had captured the Archbishop of East Anglia, and were like, you know, maybe we don't want to worry too much that. And Edmund's like, you know, we don't want him to die, so we're going to keep him alive at all costs, even though it means giving up my own life. It was very noble of him. It was also very stupid of him. So we ungarrison all here, and we push on. So they bound him up, and they were going to actually try to ransom him. And then they got really fucking drunk, and proceeded to turn him into a pincushion. And then cut off his head, just for good measure. This went over about as well as you would expect, i.e. it didn't. And Edmund was immediately proven to be a saint by the fact that when he got his head chopped off, he used that to well, first thing he did was end up shouting out that he was definitely fine if they should come find him with his decapitated head, which was being watched over by wild animals. It's absolutely a joy. So yeah, he, with his head elite longbows. There we go. Specialty units. Where was I? Yeah, so his head gets watched over by wolves, and then he actually, actually, this is going to be really easy now. I can build trebuchets. Why am I building them here instead of here? That's fine. So that's his first major miracle, is having the people looking for his head find it with a wolf taking care of it with it still speaking. Which is incredible. And then, let's see. What else can I be doing? Oh, this one got destroyed. That makes me sad. We got all these elite berserkers. Where's the rest of my army? Okay, they're there. Elite berserkers coming in. And yeah, his second major miracle after he was interred in... I still have almost no stone. Why can't I get more stone? There's an entire mine right here. Well, that's no good. My elite longboat stands no chance against these guys. That's okay, because I don't really need it to. We've got two trebuchets here. That should be plenty to take on this castle. And then these guys are going to go on the walls. Meanwhile, everyone's gonna guard these. While they go off and proceed to murder everything in this area. As you can see, York is bulky. What are these guys doing? And then, yeah, we proceed to just absolutely slaughter. Slaughter everyone while we still have performance issues. Sorry, my conversation skills are all over the place today. Fascinating. Not really a threat here. But we're going to ransack York, which should make this all very fast. Because trebuchets are overpowered. The obvious a bit of weirdness that this game has is that this, remember I will remind you, is the 9th century. Trebuchets are of course a 15th century development mostly. So it's pretty clear here that for the sake of the historical scenario, they did not limit us in actually the way that the Vinland Saga one does. In the Vinland Saga you cannot progress beyond the Castle Age. Which is quite odd, I guess. It's genuinely kind of strange that oh boy, that's a lot of castles. Cool. We need to back out. Well, these trebuchets take out the things along the coasts. the 3 trebuchets here. We're going to take on that castle, and then they can bomb into the palace. Who's attacking us? I don't hear anyone. Oh, it's my guy attacking them. Okay. Stop it. Yeah, you guys can attack that. I'll live with that. But, also, yeah, this palace is... well, it looks an awful lot like it. Could you not? No, the trebuchets are going to bomb the palace. And so they're going to come in, and then we just need to build a wonder on top of that, and we win. Which means we're doing great, right? So the palace is almost destroyed, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, you can see this palace looks very French, very Gothic. Definitely not a 9th century invention. But having destroyed it is good for us, because that means that we are... Nay, don't go there. Okay, this might actually be as far as we get, because they're overrunning our trebuchets. Actually, our trebuchets are all fine. Which is cool. Our men are going to have trouble getting past, but that's okay. You can see we are doing just fine. Northumbria is tanking in points slowly. Neat. These guys continue to attack the castle. Okay, yeah, this is as far as we get on this push, but that's fine, we destroyed their palace. You can see, obviously, though, the entire thing is very much Gothic, very late, and so this game just does not have the systems to allow progression in a scenario this long with this situation. Do I get one more swing off, please? Yes. I do, which means that we're fine. We destroyed all of that. We have still almost no stone. Why do we not have anyone mining stone? Oh, we do. Okay, they're just slow. Anyway, after that whole mess, we're just going to rebuild our army, and we're gonna go again. Cool, we got 1,000 more gold in tribute, which is good news for us. I don't know where we got it from, but we did. So we're slowly just accumulating money and resources, and it's totally fine. We upgrade these guys to arbalists, and then you'll notice that these are about as big as we get in this whole situation. Cool. We obviously cannot get gunpowder because this is the 9th century, but trebuchets are just fine. It's super great. Anyway, after the wildness that is Ella, that is Mhm. So we build all these elite berserks, who... Actually, let's try and take a look at one of these guys. I wanna look at you. Oh, hey! These guys have horned helmets. Incredible. I didn't even notice that. Let's have a nice, normal, tiny bit of bad history. You can see there are teeny tiny horns on this guy's helmet. And he uses an axe and this pattern shield. Pattern shield and all that is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The horn helmet and the axe are actually the most problematic parts. Oh yeah, we can upgrade these guys to cavaliers. And then build a bunch of them. Because I have a lot of resources right now. Specifically gold. Obviously I only have 20% of what I need, but we're accumulating gold pretty good right now. Also, building a wonder. What does that look like? Because that I think is going to be the fastest way to end this scenario. We're going to build one villager, drop him here, and then have the whole team keep going. And if you can get one more castle up, that would do a lot to protect us. As we bombard all of them. Anyway, let's build. So a wonder costs only 1,000 of each. That's actually not bad. Okay. So we just need to end up bombing out the rest of these towers and castles, and then we're actually going to be fine. Where's Wessex attacking us from? Weird. Once this whole team assembles, we'll go right in, and then we have almost all the resources we need. We're short stone, but we can always purchase that. Yeah, we are slowly getting to the end of this scenario because Northumbria's not that strong, to be honest. Not against trebuchets. We continue to be ahistorical, but that's something you see a lot with this game, is that it pretends that this is history and portrays history as a process. And the places that they are drawing reference to, they draw reference to well. However, it would be a gross exaggeration to say that this is an accurate portrayal of anything historical. I think we may end up taking this villager and building another castle. At least guard towers. That was an interesting decision from Wessex. Though, I do want to say, one thing that, while my play has not been what I would describe as good by any means, one thing I am doing that is historically accurate is the way I am building these rows of towers along the whole reach of my territory. This is something that actually Alfred the Great did. Nay. Thank you. Control 1. Stop it. Yeesh. Alfred the Great built these series of towers all along. Well, he built fortifications, at least. Not straightforwardly towers, but fortifications all along the reach of the borders of Wessex. He did this in order to mostly to help, well, may as well go in. Get this party started. Hello, where are all my berserkers coming from? Or where are they going? And now we burn the whole thing to the ground. And once that's burned to the ground, we can build a wonder on top of it and win the game. So yeah, it's interesting this game, or to finish one part before I start another one, something this game very much does, which is interesting and kind of cool, is that, yeah, I can build along it something that Alfred the Great actually did, a series of fortifications that was one of the main reasons why the Vikings stopped being able to nearly as successfully build up these fortifications, or show up in a place, raid it, and then vanish away. One of the reasons that stopped working is that Alfred the Great built up this big system of fortifications along the Humber River, basically. Kind of the core of the place. And he used that as a very, very good way. He could garrison people in the area, and then they'd appear, and Vikings would show up, and there would be some garrison within a day's reach. This is a huge improvement over what was described prior to Alfred's arrival, which was that... Interesting, I still don't... What do you mean I don't have 1,000... Oh, 1,000 stone. Okay, yes. I do not have 1,000 stone. You two should not do that. Let's go up to the... Let's click up into our market very briefly and take a look at buying more stone. Okay, we have enough stone now. 2 villagers building a wonder. Cool, it's a stave church. That's a nice touch. I'll give them that one. Legitimately a nice touch. Where are the 2 villagers? Weren't they just here? Oh. Oh, there they are. They're working on it. 2. Go. Yep, we are in trouble. The construction fails because I did not protect my guys. We'll grab a couple more of these then. And kind of just throw units at it as a way to kind of prepare. Nope, I failed. The construction failed. We'll get them next time. That being said, there's not a whole lot of York left. Plenty of Northumbrian territory, just not a whole lot of York. So yeah, what else? I feel like I've rambled quite terribly. Does anyone have any questions so that I can get back on track here? Hang on, the things are going to go weird. I just want to refresh chat here because I feel like I've not seen anyone type in a long time. Oh, which one do I think is the most historically accurate? That's a good question. Depends on what you're looking for when you say historically accurate, I think. Because there's a lot of different types of accuracy, and something that's good at portraying history accurately in one way tends to fall short of doing it in some other way. So, that's a very non-answer, and I know it, but even so, that's one that I will kind of stand by. Always armored. Wow. Northumbria continues to send so many guys, and I continue to like so badly. But one that we will play in a few weeks is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which does a really good job of exploring what the trauma of someone who would have been living in that period deals with. Past that, I've heard like some of the best moments of Kingdom Come Deliverance are when it is looking at these small moments, but I don't know that I could necessarily say that that is a great depiction of life in the Middle Ages at other times. We are going to play Crusader Kings 2 eventually, and I've tried it a little bit. A lot of my colleagues really genuinely like it as a historical sim, with, I think, fair reason. It goes into the complexities of all the systems that people have been concerned with in the Middle Ages to quite a high degree of success. That being said, I think it suffers from pretty major issues of anachronism in certain places, in certain ways. One big way, trying to find more stone in the area, sorry. Because I have completely outstoned my initial starting area. Not sure where I'm going to find more of that. Well, we may just be relying on our markets for a while. That's no good. But we'll have them pull up in here then. Yeah. I think Crusader Kings 2 suffers from kind of over being, one, incredibly obtuse to play, and two, well, they do so much research into making the starting situation right, some of the things that they're interested in doing with it is just not. At its core, I think that's the only way to say it, is large parts of Crusader Kings 2 are not concerned about or interested in trying to be historically accurate. This is not an intrinsically bad thing, it's just a thing. Well, we are slowly grinding these guys down. And yeah. So it's hard to describe the exact way in which that functions or fails to function. He's got attacked by a... yeah. I'd have to play it. We'll talk more about it when we eventually get to it. I need someone to teach me how to play the game better first, because I will fully admit that I attempted it and bounced off the game because I found it to be unnecessarily complicated. And extremely difficult to deal with because of how complicated it was. Oh, that's what I should do. I should build a... Well, we're slowly grinding these down. So yeah. What else? How does this game portray history? As you can see, most of these civilizations are more or less identical. There's not really a... There's this Celtic, technically Celtic, group here. And then they look basically identical to my technically Norse group, apart from our unique units, though even those are very closely related. Hopefully these guys will manage to be able to attack that siege engine workshop. That would help my case a lot. But I fear, yeah, they're too close to the castle to do that. Now we're going to station off the coast here and let them just deal with all of the guys coming in, while my trebuchets, which are being produced right now, are going to go in and deal with the rest of it. Unfortunately, I don't know that an army of entirely berserkers is the ideal way to take care of these guys. Still, that's no big deal. These three, nay, the other three, we are going to build a, well, we can't build a castle, but we can at least build another fortification a little bit farther forward. Look at that. They're doing admirably at just draining away resources. But we should sail a little bit farther south, along the coast to right here, and take out their things. Is that the best way for me to kind of keep pushing on, is to just eliminate their docks so they can't build. Sail out to sea a little bit. And yeah, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of enemy material here that we can just kind of obliterate, put it bluntly.
Ja.
They're also going to build a dock here so we can restock our... Where is it? There's a dock.
Húsasmíðar.
Resupply all of our fire ships. Ugh, I hate fire ships, they're annoying. Anyway, we're going to resupply from here all of our longships. But yeah, so we have here a whole bunch of trebuchets. Let's see, can we actually do anything useful with these yet? Not really. We're gonna have them come in here while all the berserkers come in here. There we go. And we're slowly building a bunch more of these. Okay. We are slowly making progress. Okay, we are playing very slowly, and I feel like I'm not saying anything useful here. Well, we'll trust them to do their thing while I go purchase more stone. Well, that works. Fill up this production queue again. Cool. Here we go. We are making a lot more progress towards our inevitable victory. Now we can build a stave church here. This is a nice bit of anachronism. This particular kind of church simply did not exist at this time period. But that's fine. It is a lovely bit of anachronism. The save church is mostly an 11th century thing. Wow, we get so much golden tribute. And we're just going to slowly chip away at this one bit. Only 4%. Well, that should be pretty much the last castle in York done. Now we just have our trebuchets wipe out all of the production buildings. And let them exist. Let's build another 10 of these or so. Put them here. And yeah, we are doing great now. Amazing how anachronistic technology helps your cause. And we're working on it. We are 1/10 of the way done with this whole situation. Well. Hello? Okay, this is a complete mess. I have just stopped talking. I am deeply sorry about that. I just can't tell what the hell's going on. Meanwhile, construction of our stave church happily continues. Next. Hello? Okay. Let me try and communicate any part of what the goal here is. Anyway. This game shows history as a progression from age to age in much the same way that we'll see eventually Civilization does. Or another game much like that. In portraying history this way, it makes it playable. It's a necessary simplification, I think, in order to play it, but it ends up being a really troubling one to actually experience and look at critically. Age of Empires, by kind of turning everything into roughly equivalent ages that can be progressed from one to the other, says that this is the correct way to do history, and all the things that are not that are bad, are doing history wrong, and therefore all history must be able to be converted down into that single Could they not, though? Like, you're allowed to not. Okay. Well. I hope any of that made sense. Clearly I am not speaking very well right now. But, the problematic nature of this is definitely not made less But anyway, we are doing okay here. A whole bunch of these guys are just running around like crazy people. But we are almost up. We are at 38%. Let's see. So, this game leans highly on simplification and on anachronism in order to, well, function. Cool that we got more golden tribute though. Marcia is trashing us. So, do you guys want to hear more about the historical Great Heathen Army? Would that be of interest to you? I guess, because clearly analyzing the game itself isn't working. So do you want to hear kind of the story as is told in the Norse and Anglo-Saxon sources as to what's going on here as we're finishing up the game? Because we're choosing one of the following, which that one of the following is finishing this. Awesome. So, the Great Heathen Army, as we said, started in York, actually, as a way of taking care, according to the Norse sources, it's revenge for the death of Ragnar Lothbrok. According to the English sources, they've been raiding for a long time. This is not really new. So, it actually starts in York, killing Ella of Northumbria and Osbert. Ella is executed, according to the Norse sources, with a blood eagle. Again, I personally think that is just Trace carving an eagle into someone's back, not eviscerating their ribcage and turning that into the wings of an eagle. I think the former is far more plausible than the latter. But then this group of Vikings, which was several thousand in number, proceeds for the next several years to run around England. They are basically unstoppable. They start in East Anglia, they go up to York, they kill Ella there. They then head back to East Anglia and kill Edmund. They then take over, raid in Kent and Mercia particularly, and by about 800, well, it starts in 867 according to Roger of Hoveden. Realistically, by 874, yeah. So in 874, they are in Mercia and kick out the king and make their own guy king. Yeah. After the expulsion of Burhead of Mercia, the Danes reduced the kingdom of the Mercians to subjection and committed it to the charge of a certain military officer of Denmark, Ceolwulf by name, on condition that whenever they chose, they might take and keep it. So then they, in 875, they subject Mercia, or subject Northumbria, to them, forming the Danelaw. But in 876, they're in London, and in 877, they sail around to Kent and to Winchester. And they come in, sail around there, raid in Wales, and then invade Wessex. There, while attacking Wessex, they actually screw up, and Roger of Hoveden says that that is where Yngvar and Halfdan, as the other leader of the army, though this is probably supposed to be Hubba, were slain in Devonshire, which I know Brits today would just say is Devon. So but in the 12th century, it's Devonshire. So yeah, that Roger of Hoveden is one of the only sources that say Yngvar, which is to say Ivarr the Boneless, dies in 877. Most other sources mention that he dies, so namely the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle especially, say that he died in 873. Regardless though, taking on Wessex like that is basically the heathen army's big mistake. After this, they slowly back off, and in 880, the heathen army completely leaves England. They go raid in France and Germany for the next 7 years. In 886, Cool, I just keep getting more tribute. That's good for me. In 886, they end up besieging Paris for a full year. The siege fails, but eventually Arnulf ends up breaking that siege on the capital city there, and the Great Heathen Army returns to England, where they are driven back by Alfred's sons until in 925 at the Battle of Brunanburh. Who's attacking me? Weird. At the Battle of Brunanburh, in I believe it's 925, Athelstan completely obliterates the remaining Anglo-Scandinavian fighters, and England is united under the crown of Wessex for on and off the next century. Let's see. After this, there's basically the Scandinavian forces in England are pretty limited for a long time following that event. It isn't until the 990s, starting at the Battle of Malden in 991, and then onwards to the activities of the up to the ascension of Canute the Great as the King of England and Denmark in 1016 to 1030, that we're really seeing a significant Scandinavian hostile presence in England. That being said, obviously most of this Great Heathen Army, well, it exists. It is not what I would say is the majority of Scandinavian forces or Scandinavian peoples living in England at this time. That honor goes to civilians, as always. There's a very large portion, because of the way that Scandinavian people settled in a place, there's a very large proportion that become families, basically, and they settle in, assimilate with the local population. So there's this big Anglo-Scandinavian population that is the majority of people living there. Even after the abolishment of the Danelaw in 925, there still are a lot of civilians living in Scandinavia at that time. The this civilian population that emerges realistically around this time period in the 9th century remains very much an active part of early medieval England until the 900s, when they actually end up getting killed. Ethelred the Unready ends up actually committing genocide against them, just a little bit. The reason he does this is actually why he gets his name. Unrad, poorly counseled, is a better translation than unready. But he ends up committing genocide on the will of his retainers and his court, and against the advice of some of the bishops living there.
Our victory is complete.
Cool. We built a wonder. Congratulations. So, now that I finished this, I can finally see this whole map and see what we were looking at. Because obviously I explored very little of it, because settling right here made it very easy to take on York. Which makes sense. This is one of the first places that the Scandinavian population settled in. There's the Kingdom of Orkney here, which is Norse and gets a whole saga, Orkneyinga saga. And then down here we get the Isle of Man, which was also, well, I guess I already must have rated it. This must be Man. Nope, that is the coast of Scotland. I'm not sure where they put the Isle of Man. I had it. Here it is. Here's the Isle of Man. And then we have all of Ireland. Now, Ireland, Dublin, around about what, here in the bog, was a Scandinavian settlement. It was founded by Vikings, and in fact was supposedly founded originally by Ivarr the Boneless, and released his kinsman, not the other Ragnar sons though. That's the thing. The other Ragnar sons, as shown in the TV show, end up settling in Sweden and Norway and Denmark, and being the founders of dynasties there. Because everyone claims to be descended from Ragnar Lothbrok, nobody actually was. Anyway, they, in the earlier period, so even up to before the Great Heathen Army, they're settling actually in this area in Caithness, raiding from the Orkneys down to Scotland in the Caithness, and founding Scandinavian kingdoms here. The son of Harold Finehair Eiríkur Bloodaxe ends up in Orkney in exile after getting evicted by Håkon the Good from Norway. So he actually also participates in here. And in 1014, so 150 years after these events, the Orkney kingdoms actually go ally with Dublin to try and fight a battle at Clontarf on Good Friday 1014 in Ireland, and suffer a massive defeat that is one of the breaking points of Scandinavian power in Ireland. We obviously, in this particular event, I completely ignored Ireland, which I probably shouldn't have done. Would have been a lot easier to take out, it looks like. They're not very strong. Oh well. We took the shortest route and built a stave church here. It's really funny that they built a stave church, because they kind of just edited out the top spire on the front of the church should be a cross. Because Stavkirke, it makes sense, it is a actual church. Now, the locations of the kingdoms here are actually pretty much right. We have East Anglia here, and then the Thames, London here. The London's tiny relative to York, which is not historically accurate. Canterbury, with its cathedral. This is a much later stage of Canterbury Cathedral, obviously, but is perfectly fine to include. Like here, you recognize it as what it's supposed to be. Kent, Sussex, and Wessex are all more or less the same thing, with Cornwall being and Exeter being somewhat independent. This is all totally sound. This is around where Yngvar, Roger of Hoveden says Yngvar was defeated, is out here because he was raiding in South Wales and then made a mistake. So yeah, this is, obviously you can see they're doing a simplified version of the history here, and the objectives need to be changed to fit the limitations of the mechanics of the game. The game itself has very limited historical customization and historical progression. Its systems take a very similar and very linear development. So they can't do a whole lot, but they approximate it. This is mostly a combat simulator after all. So they take the places that are important to the events they're talking about, York being the starting point for the whole thing, and blow up its size and significance and make it more difficult to attack. They also make it in the Imperial Age just so that they have higher defenses. Their AI didn't get better. If you notice, they didn't really have elite things. They weren't using scorpions or other anachronistic technology. It just beefs up the number of hit points all their stuff has. Wessex is the same way. It's dangerous because it got bulked up, not, I think, because it was really all that much, but what cathedral is this supposed to be? This is Glastonbury. Okay. Yeah, they all have these different areas and do their best. All these little towns that they build up, and it works. The anachronism really shows up in the technologies, because in the Imperial Age I could, well, it won't let me now, but I could research ballistics, alchemy, all sorts of things to let me get gunpowder units. Gunpowder units themselves were banned, but the first university wasn't founded until the 11th century in Bologna. And Oxford wasn't founded until the middle of the 11th century. So we are way too early for this. Obviously, I mocked the idea of there being a monastery in the Great Heathen Army. It continues to be comical. There's just no other way to describe it. It's no good. because religion is not actually something addressed in the game. It's just a mechanic to let you do something else. Monks convert enemy units. They themselves aren't that dangerous. Hey look, it's a longbowman. Another thing that doesn't show up until the 100 Years' War. So yeah, you can see the anachronism in this is all over the place. There's just really is not doing a good job at being historically accurate. Or really even being historically authentic. This doesn't feel like it's in the 9th century at all. That's kind of okay, because this is not what the game is meant to be doing. These historical battles is really not how the game is designed to be played. These are just things the team adds on. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this. I did not talk about the movements of the Great Heathen Army as much as I would have liked, but I also saw much less of the map than I would have liked. So, yeah, that's where we are. I took a very odd approach down through Scotland, burned York, and I guess this was supposed to kill Ella of Northumbria, but as I said, this is the very beginning. This is the very beginning of the Great Heathen Army, not most of its preceding events. The Great Heathen Army, after this, would spend the rest of the time marauding down through East Anglia, Mercia, back up into East Anglia, across to Mercia, back up into Northumbria up here, and then eventually down into Kent before being raiding all around and eventually being evicted. So they kind of fundamentally reshape the political landscape of early medieval England, and really they allow the House of Wessex to achieve the prominence that it does. Yeah. Well, I think it's too much to try and do another one, given that we've already been going for almost 3 hours. So I guess this is going to be a kind of shorter stream. Does anyone have any other questions or things? Well, up here on the map, we can kind of talk about at my leisure instead of trying to play and just talk about history at the same time, because clearly I'm not good at that yet. So yeah, any questions? Cool. Then, yeah, I think this is where we'll end it then. I hope this was at least somewhat enjoyable and a little bit entertaining. Obviously, I did not do a very good job at talking about the things I wanted to in this stream, but we got to all of it eventually. So yeah, I do want to say, as we're going, the next 2 weeks I'm going to be on a different setting. Nice. I'm going to be in a different country on vacation, so the next 2 weeks we're only going to have one stream per week, and they're going to be a little shorter and probably with a little worse audio quality. So stay tuned. I'll let people know on Twitter when the next stream is going to be. It's going to be a little shorter, but I will tell you I already know what game we're doing. We're going to be looking at exoticism and in Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, since that has a whole bunch of names taken from mythology and from history with very little regard to where they fit but also some surprising parallels. So yeah, we're going to be doing the prologue of Fire Emblem 4 next time. So stay tuned on Twitter to figure out exactly when that'll